French Revolution, tennis court, Bastille, Versailles, yeah, all that is French Revolution. And oh, not to mention Louis XIV and Marie Antoinette just eating a lot and partying a lot and generally spending a lot of money that isn't theirs. Anyways, I'm sure that you know the basics, dip your toes into the pool. But now that you're here, put on your goggles because we're taking a dive. Louis XVI was the last king of France. He was executed for treason by 1793. Though he was very shy, but he grew up strong and healthy, he was immature and lacked self-confidence, and that reflected in his leadership.
The first and second and third estate were called to meet because France was in a financial crisis. The poor could not pay their taxes, and the country was bankrupt. They were also funding the American Revolution to remove British rule. The third estate created a tennis court because they were unsatisfied with the living conditions and the level of equality. The third estate had 577 members, while the first and second had less combined. It was no coincidence that the third estate felt angry towards the first after King locked him out of the meeting once. So the solution was to move to a tennis court, to swear the tennis court off, without King Louis, of course, which then they would call themselves the National Assembly.
The storming of Bastille prison started because the French people saw the prison as a way that the kings and nobles showed power over the people. The people wanted to destroy the prison and set the prisoner free, but the kings and nobles realized that they actually wanted to take the weapons in the prison, not to free the 7 prisoners. The storming of Bastille was a symbol of cruelty and mistreatment of the people by the French monarchy under Louis XVI. The March on Versailles was a crowd of over 7,000 armed women that marched from Paris to Versailles. It was a women's only event because the marketplace for women lacked bread and they were in hunger. The women got what they wanted by being aggressive and using armed force, usually participating in riots. The king promised to distribute all the bread and move the court from Versailles to Paris. The march was a step toward democracy because the woman, for the first time, protested for her rights and equality.
Four years later, there were these two political groups, the Girondins and the Mountains. Well, not literal mountains. Let's just say they didn't get along. The Montagnards unleashed a terror, which led to the executions of tens of thousands of people, whom were later marked as the enemies of the revolution, mostly executed by the guillotine. Some say that the terror got so bad, blood would be running down the streets. The guillotine was a weapon of choice, an upright way of execution by removing one's head with a big knife. This type of execution was particularly popular during that time period. Napoleon, a little man with a lot of power. Measuring in at 5'6", Napoleon conquered most of Europe and rising rapidly to power in the French Revolution. He ended up crowning himself as emperor in 1804. Even though monarchy was abandoned, he was sort of treated like a monarch. In a way, you can compare to many other powerful political leaders that have made a drastic change, like Adolf Hitler, both starting wars that led to a destruction that later led to a new political order. Well, except Napoleon believed in equality. Liberté, égalité, fraternité, after all, was a principle he stuck to. So, an overview, the French Revolution began in 1789 and ended in 1799. What happened was the people overthrew the monarchy and the Committee of Public Safety took over. They started to kill the nobility and those that had opposed the committee. The French government was taken over by a famous general who became the most powerful leader in European history, Napoleon. The French Revolution by Isla, Jeffrey, and Michele.